Hello guys, how are you? Welcome to All About Cardano. In this channel we are going to be talking about every single topic you ever wanted to know about the Cardano ecosystem. We're going to be talking about IOHK, about Emurgo, about Cardano, about ADA, about the protocols, about every single topic. We're going to be having also some tutorials. We're going to be having some interviews. So please stay tuned, subscribe to get updated, and please stay with us. And today we are going to be talking about the Cardano ecosystem as a whole. We're going to be trying to discover how the ecosystem is composed, how it works, what are the components of this ecosystem. So please stay with us. So when I first heard about Cardano, I heard a lot of fancy words, a lot of things that I didn't understood. So I tried to figure this out and try to get meaning, get sense of what all those fancy words and fancy terms and different things meant. So let's start by trying to put this in a perspective. So here we have the whole components of the Cardano ecosystem, and we are going to be talking about every single thing of this. So perhaps we should begin with the beginning, right? We should start by mentioning the companies involved in the project. There is obviously, and you'll probably know, about Input-Output, IOHK, whose CEO is Charles Hoskinson. Hi Charles, how are you? And well, Input-Output is an amazing company. As they describe themselves, they are an engineering company committed to use peer-to-peer review, peer-to-peer innovations to provide financial services to the 3 billion people in the world that do not have access to those. So that's quite a mission, that's quite a goal. So they are Input-Output. They are basically in charge of developing and maintaining the protocol. So at this stage, they are one of the most important parts of the ecosystem since they are developing it. And well, we also have Emurgo. Emurgo is a company based in Japan. Emurgo is led by Ken Kodama. Emurgo is in charge of, they are focused on finding those interesting projects to invest in, so that interesting projects that are going to be developed in the Cardano platform, the Cardano blockchain. They are also a consulting firm that gives advice to those organizations that are seeking for solutions to be implemented in the blockchain. So we have a couple of companies involved, Emurgo and IOHK. Then we have the research component. You can say research is kind of a foundational part of the system because almost everything that happens in Cardano comes from a research process. And they take it very seriously, and this is kind of a principle in the whole Cardano ecosystem, and they are making sure that everything they do is backed by science. So they have links with some of the most influential universities, like University of Edinburgh, Tokyo Tech, University of Athens, University of Illinois, and some others around the globe. So everything they do is very close related to research. We have, for example, that every single thing, every single feature, every single aspect of the Cardano ecosystem or of the Cardano blockchain, of the Cardano platform, has passed through a very serious, a very rigorous process of peer-to-peer review. That gives this project a very good sense of responsibility because they are trying to make sure that everything they put in code is backed by science. So, and being a open source project, you can even go to their site and consult every single paper they have written. So it is very important and it's very interesting because this is the way that IOHK is trying to ensure that everything they put in the project is proven to be correct. They are also aiming for a high assurance code. And this means that they are trying to make sure that things are correct before they are built rather than later on coming and try to fix some errors. So that's very important. And then we have, of course, the blockchains. Being a blockchain platform, we obviously have some blockchains. So we have the Cardano mainnet. The Cardano mainnet consists of two components. First of all, the settlement layer. The settlement layer is basically the accounting layer. Here is where the ADA, the cryptocurrency, lives, and here is also where the transactions happen. Here's where you can send and receive some ADAs to any other address. And on top of that, we have the computation layer. In this computation layer, we are going to be able to deploy smart contracts to have decentralized applications. So this is a very important part of the project. So this kind of what makes it, in the end, a very robust project, because we are going to have the possibility to deploy smart contracts and to deploy decentralized applications into this computation layer. We also have the Ethereum Classic blockchain, which is way more famous right now. And by the way, we also have the testnets. We know that Cardano testnet is probably coming soon. You may think of the Cardano testnet as being the previous step for any feature before it goes to the Cardano mainnet. Here is where we are going to be able to test every single feature, where we are going to be able to experiment and to learn. So this is very important for all of us, part of the community, because here we can afford to have mistakes. Here we can afford to make mistakes. We can test our applications here. We can test our smart contracts here. So in the end, there is a very useful feature for all of us. So I seriously recommend to keep an eye on it, because I think it's going to be coming very soon. And they have also the testnets. The testnets, as you can imagine, the testnet, the KVM testnet and the yellow testnet, the KVM is like, what they did with the KVM is they took the Ethereum virtual machine and formally verified it. So then we have a virtual machine that is less likely to have mistakes or have errors, and we can also deploy our smart contracts as you would do in Ethereum. You can deploy your smart contracts on the KVM testnet to make some tests, try your features and all that stuff. And we have a more advanced testnet. We have the Yale testnet. Yale is kind of one of the main projects now at IOHK, because Yale is kind of a proof of concept of how the Cardano mainnet might be dealing with the smart contracts and decentralized applications. So if you are interested in those projects, you should be really taking a look into Yale and trying to play around with it. Yale solves some issues that are very relevant across the industry. And as being a formally verified virtual machine has an assembly language, it allows us to detect mistakes, detect errors at compiling time rather at runtime. If you detect your mistakes, your coding mistakes at compiling time, you're going to be able to fix them and then deploy a correct smart contract. But if you are detecting, as it happens in other blockchains, if you're detecting your mistakes once your smart contracts are deployed, you have very little to do. So it is very important, because it will help us to build and to develop, to design better smart contracts. And now we are talking about this. Of course, we have the virtual machines, which are the KVM virtual machine and the Yellow virtual machine. I have already talked a little bit, but from the perspective of a virtual machine, why they are needed? Well, if you are going to have smart contracts, you absolutely need a virtual machine that interprets them, that runs them, that executes them. So this is why we need those virtual machines. So keep an eye, especially on the Yali virtual machine. I'm seriously recommending to go and take a look and make some tests here, because it is an amazing design. So we have talked about the virtual machines, about the blockchains, and if you are going to transfer some value from one address to another in the blockchain, you will certainly need a wallet, right? So we can think about the Cardano wallets as having three types of wallets. We have the desktop wallet, we have the browser extension wallet, and we have the CLI for developers, command line tools for developers. As desktop wallets, you can think of them, they have a full copy of the blockchain. They are very robust, and they allow you to do a lot of things. The main project here is Daedalus. Daedalus is so important for the ecosystem that it is considered inside IOHK as a separate product, as a separate project from the Cardano and ADA. So why is this important? Because it is intended to be a multi-currency wallet in the future, meaning that you are going to be able to store not only ADA or Ethereum Classic with the Daedalus Mantis, but also you are going to be able to store almost any other cryptocurrency. That's the main goal here. So it's an important project. And who knows, perhaps in the future it's even going to be able to interact with the legacy financial system. So keep an eye on this project, it's very important. And I'm going to be doing a video of how to install and how to use the Daedalus wallet. We also have the Daedalus Mantis, which is the version for the Ethereum Classic cryptocurrency. And we will be seeing soon the Daedalus testnet, which of course will be the wallet that you are going to use for the Cardano testnet. So I'm going to be making these videos pretty soon, so if you want to learn how to use it, they are beautifully crafted, and Daedalus wallet is absolutely it's a piece of art almost, because it's beautifully crafted. It is a very easy install. It has a lot of features, very interesting features, and more that are also going to come soon. So we have then the browser extension wallets. Those are lightweight wallets, meaning that they don't carry a copy of the blockchain. They just only interact with it by browser extensions. We have the Icarus and Yoroi. Yoroi is beautiful also. Yoroi is an amazing project. It is fully tested now, and it's one of the most secure wallets you are going to see in the market right now. So I'm going to make some videos, and it's very important because Yoroi right now is working in a very important project, because the next step, once it has been fully tested and fully approved, they are going to integrate, they're looking to integrate with some hardware wallets, hardware devices that are aiming to be safe and secure storage for your wallets. So it's very important, this project. And we have the command line tools for developers. We have Mallet and the ROS clients. If you are developing a decentralized application, you are perhaps very interested in these projects, because Mallet and ROS clients are going to be allowing you to interact with the blockchain, but it's like the piece that is required in the middle. So you really should be taking a look into it. Perhaps I'm going to be making some videos about Mallet and ROS client. So keep tuned for those actualizations. So we have mentioned by now, we have mentioned some cryptocurrencies, and we have mentioned ADA, and we have mentioned Ethereum Classic. Those are very important parts of the ecosystem, since these are the cryptocurrencies inherent to this ecosystem. So we have Here are their logos, their identifiers. You should take a look at them. We also have, we have talked a little bit about the smart contracts. So if you are to have smart contracts, you will certainly need some programming languages, right? So we have a couple of newly developed programming languages. We have, first of all, we have Plutus. Plutus is a functional programming language that will be allowing us to write very beautiful, very elegant smart contracts. And by elegant, I mean very clean, easy to understand, easy to read, easy to debug smart contracts. This language is based on Haskell, and this is going to be allowing us to write highly secure smart contracts. For those applications that really need a formally verified smart contracts, Plutus is going to be very important. And as far as we know from a tweet from Charles Hoskinson, it will be coming pretty soon, perhaps somewhere around December, January, we don't know yet, but it's coming pretty soon. And we also have Marlowe. Marlowe is to be a domain-specific language, specifically designed for financial transactions. So we have those newly designed, developed smart contract programming languages. And we have the Yellow assembly. The Yellow assembly is the assembly language for the Yellow virtual machine. And we also have the Solidity to Yellow compiler. This is a very important project because Solidity is by far one of the most popular programming languages for smart contracts. So they have designed this compiler, which is correct by construction also, and it's formally verified. So you can take your Solidity code and compile it directly into Yellow, and using the Remix IDE, for which they have developed a clone and they have adapted and to work perfectly with Yellow. And well, we also have some, any blockchain needs nodes. So we have nodes, we have the Cardano nodes, we have Mantis nodes, and of course we have the Rust nodes. The Rust is the newest project in the Cardano ecosystem. And it's been worked by a very highly talented people, so you should keep an eye on it. Before I talk about the other components of the ecosystem, it is very useful to go to this part of the presentation, this part of the map, and it is that Cardano, it's a third generation blockchain. What it means? Well, we first have a fourth generation blockchain, which is Bitcoin. Bitcoin incorporates a settlement layer. There is a place where you can transfer value from one place to another, and that's it. That's what it does. Then you had a second generation blockchain that has the ability to execute some smart contracts and all of that kind of stuff of decentralized applications. But the problem with the second generation blockchain is that it has not one but three problems. And those problems are the ones that the third generation blockchain, such as Cardano, is trying to solve. Number one is scalability. How is it going to grow? Number two, interoperability. How it will be able to interact with other blockchains, and the sustainability problem, that is, how are we going to fund, how are we going to sustain, how are we going to pay for the system to run properly. So for the scalability problem, we have like three major aspects. We have the transactions per second, we have the network, and we have the data storage problem. Transactions per second is being tackled by Cardano by a new protocol called Ouroboros. Ouroboros is a proof-of-stake protocol that is a lot cheaper to run than the proof of work protocol of Bitcoin, and being cheaper, it will be a lot more efficient, and it will also allow for blocks to be mined in parallel, so it will be allowing a lot more transactions per second. Then we have network. The network problem is that as the system grows, we will have much more data flowing across the network. That means that we will need much more bandwidth, and Cardano is trying to solve this problem by using a very interesting technology which is called recursive internetwork architecture. RINA, what does, it designs the network in a much more efficient way so that it will allow the system to grow without losing the securities and the guarantees it gives you. And last but not least, the data problem. For the data problem, the data storage, it's related with the network, because as the system grows, the amount of data stored in the blockchain is growing and growing and growing. So you grow from megabytes to gigabytes to terabytes to petabytes and that stuff. So the way Cardano is trying to solve this storage problem is by trying to come up with a solution that incorporates some techniques like pruning, like some sort of compression, like subscription, and also the sense of partitioning. And what they want is to come up with a solution into which not everybody needs to have a full copy of the blockchain, but rather just a piece of it without losing the guarantees and the security and the assurance level that the full copy of the blockchain gives you. So this is going to be a very impressive solution when it comes. And it also incorporates some notions of sidechains. And sidechains also is related with the next problem, which is interoperability. And the problem of interoperability is very interesting, because right now, every single cryptocurrency lives in its own tiny little world, meaning that it is not able to talk with other blockchains, with other cryptocurrencies. So the approach Cardano is taking to solve this problem is with the concept of sidechains. What sidechains means is that Cardano is trying to achieve becoming kind of a bridge between all those different blockchains. And if they manage to implement this protocol into which Cardano is able to communicate and to understand and to work with all different types of blockchains, it will be a major achievement, because it can even be able to communicate and to allow the flow of information and transactions with the traditional financial system. And the problem right now is that there's a clear border between the traditional financial system and the cryptocurrency world. And the problem is that the legacy financial system has a lot of regulations related with knowing your customer. They like to really know what the transactions are about, who paid it, what for, and all that stuff. So, and in the blockchain, you don't have all that metadata in the transactions. So what Cardano is trying to do with the sidechains protocol is trying to allow the users to embed at will some certain metadata in those transactions that are related with the traditional financial system, so that the traditional financial system, namely a bank or something, can recognize that transaction as trustful one, because
it brings all the information about, for example, knowing your customers, anti-money laundering, and not financial terrorism, and all that stuff that the financial system is really dealing with. So if you are able to embed all that kind of metadata and attributes to a transaction at will, it will allow you to do transactions with the financial system, with your bank. So it is very important as a solution, and this is the solution that Cardano is trying to implement for this interoperability problem. For the sustainability problem, the deal is that, well, this is an open source project. How are we going to fund for the system to improve and to evolve? How are we going to pay for it? So in the end, what the treasury is just a decentralized bank account, like a decentralized bank account. If you take, for example, the rewards that go for the miner in the Bitcoin blockchain, all the reward goes directly to the miner. In this system, what Cardano is trying to do is to take a small part of that reward, and with that, feed the treasury, so that in the end it has some amount of money strictly managed by the whole community, and the community has the ability to vote on where the protocol should go and how this money is to be invested so that the protocol evolves in a kind of a democratic way. So it is a very important problem to solve, because otherwise it is gonna end. Doesn't really matter how much money IOHK is able to put into this if it is finite. It will be burned sometime. So we need the system to be fed with this funds from all the transactions that happen in the system, so that the system can live and have a long life. So this is the third part of the problem. And with this, we have, I guess, touched most of the Cardano ecosystem. We are missing just one small part, but it's a very important one, which is the timeline. For the timeline of the project, how it is being developed. And at this moment, we are in the first stage of the project. They choose to have a timeline with some very interesting names. We have the Byron stage, the Shelley stage, Gauguin stage, Basho stage, and then Voltaire stage. At this moment, we are in the Byron stage. Right now, we have the Cardano settlement layer working, and we have Ouroboros protocol working. The next step in the evolution of this project is Shelley. Shelley is when the decentralization comes, and it is related with the nodes, because right now the system is not fully decentralized. Sometime in the future, very near future perhaps, it will be fully decentralized system, and that will mean that we are in the Shelley stage of the evolution. Then we will have Gauguin. And Gauguin will mean when the Cardano implements the computational layer in the Cardano mainnet. That means that we are going to run smart contracts, and we are going to have virtual machines on that blockchain. That will be the Gauguin stage. And after that, there will be a Basho stage. On that, there's going to be implemented the second part of the protocol, the Ouroboros Praos, and we will have a revised network layer. And finally, the final step will be to set up the treasury and let the community be the most important part of the system, because the community will be taking the decisions of where and how the system will grow. And well, this is it. This is how the Cardano ecosystem works. And I hope you liked it. Please subscribe and see you soon.